So many things that I want to get to here. Stugotz, just before we started, was saying, are you going to make the scariest call in sports guest booking, or am I going to make the scariest call in sports guest booking? And then you said, I'd like Whittingham to get a test and a taste of the scariest call in booking guests.
I would like to see it. The call we're talking about is the call you make to Jimmy Johnson. And I am telling you that if you pause even for a second, take a breath, okay, he will hang up on you. I have never been nervous calling someone in my entire life. Dan knows this. I'll ask anyone to come on this show. I get nervous every time I start to call the man. And Woody, I would like the dynamic of you, the nicest person I've ever met, and so polite, trying to get Jimmy Johnson on the show because he's going into the Hall of Fame in a couple of weekends. I'd like to see you try it out. Because here's the thing with Jimmy. He might hang up on you, but he'll take the next call. So even if he does hang up on you, I will then follow up with my phone call after that. But this is what I'm telling you. When you call him, make sure you have everything ready to go and be prepared to not breathe. Okay?
So it's like, so if we're doing role play, you're Jimmy Johnson, you say hello, and I go, hi, I'm Chris Whittingham with the Dan Le Batard Show. I'd like to have you come on.
Too long.
I stuttered.
It's too
once.
long.
Oh, it's too long?
Yes.
Too long.
Hall of Fame, congratulations. Le Batard wants you on.
Yes,
Boom.
it's like that.
Yes.
Really?
It's like
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yes.
So
you
it's
got
not
it.
even complete sentences.
No.
It's just,
Yes.
hi, I'm Chris, work for Le Batard. We want you on.
Now, if you get his wife on, she's lovely. She'll tell you he's on the boat, okay? And he'll call you back later. And you'll have a very nice conversation
I thought
with
you were going
her.
to say on the toilet for some reason.
That's what she calls the toilet.
He's out on the boat. He'll call you back later. Just know that he won't.
He's on the
okay?
boat, and he's going to be on the boat for a while, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And you got to get him in the morning, okay? That's because once Jimmy hits the boat, he hits the Heineken, it's over, and that's it. No, he does. I mean, Jimmy, listen, he's living the good life. He has it figured out. And he goes into the Hall of Fame. I'd love to see you try and make that call.
Billy, I heard you come in here. Do you believe that Stugotz will indeed make it to Boselli's Hall of Fame ceremony? He has said a number of times that he is going, but I figure a lacrosse mitzvah or a dead show or something is going to happen between now and then that will make it so Stugotz doesn't actually go to that. Are you of the belief that he will make it there?
He's been telling me for months that he wants to go to do this. And I think that the reason he was telling me months ago he wanted to do this is because he wanted this to be figured out a way to get sponsored so it could be done and he'd be going up there free of charge. I just don't really know, because Tony told him when he asked Tony, like, hey, I want to be there for you, buddy. I want to blah, blah, blah. And Tony was kind of like, okay, like, thanks. But, like, it would be a general admission situation, I think, if Stugotz is there.
GA.
Yeah, like, I don't think that if you go up there, you're going to be getting the things that you want out of going there.
So I think we're going to have Boselli on Stupidity this week. Now, he, along with Jimmy Johnson, goes into the Hall of Fame. I'm going to ask Tony more than I have. And so I would like to sit with friends and family. Now, originally, I was going to make the speech. He went with Mark Brunell. That was a shock to me and my family. So I am telling Boselli that I'd like to go up there, but I got to sit with friends and family. I'm not sitting GA with Jacksonville fans. Not happening.
But he doesn't even care if you're there to begin with, and now you're demanding on one of the most important days of his life that you be sat with his family.
Billy, there's
like you
no,
turn.
I have my demands.
Yeah, but that's exactly the thing, though. This isn't a negotiation. This isn't a situation. He has nothing to gain from this.
Billy, everything's a negotiation with Stugotz.
He doesn't want him there, though.
I know, but Billy, well, he doesn't have any leverage. But
he can negotiate his way out of it.
Let's see what happens here, because, Billy, if you think life's not a negotiation, and if you think there's a circumstance under which he's dragging his dead ass to Canton to sit in GA, you're out of your mind.
That's why I'm saying is not. That's why I'm wondering kind of what's your goal with this? What do you want to get out of this? Because
really, my goal is to sit with the Bosellis. Okay, I'm over the speech. Brunell deserves it, I guess.
To make the Hall of Fame about you.
Done?
To mention you in the Hall of Fame speech. You have terms.
I want to sit with the family, and when he starts acknowledging friends and family, I just want him to say my name quickly. Now, it might be a joke, okay? Like you can do it as a joke.
You want a shout out.
I want a shout out from Boselli.
Hold on a second.
I love the man. Listen, it's my retirement plan. Me and him doing afternoon drives in Jacksonville. Well, Jayville. I mean, how about that?
Hold on.
Breaking down Trevor Lawrence. It's exciting.
So I'm starting to see how this is working. You're going to him and you're telling him you want to be mentioned, hoping that you just get sat close enough to his friends and family so when they kind of pan to them on screen, you might come out in the corner and you could give a little wave.
Yes.
Or he might not show up to that either after negotiating it.
It's a good chance. Any direct flights?
He will negotiate up the chain here and then not show up. He will. Do not put that past him.
They have a Delta Lounge appearance fee. I mean, I've done a lot for Boselli. Do something for me. I mean, seriously. Aren't there direct flights from here to Canton? I need to know.
An appearance fee. Boselli's got to go into Boselli Incorporated to pay an appearance fee for Stugotz to just be in his GA crowd.
Who's going to get the loudest cheer? When he's thanking Fred Taylor and he's thanking, Tom Coughlin, and he's thanking, Mark Brunell and Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell and all the guys. And then he thanks Stugotz.
Let's take it back. Let's threaten to take it back. Guillermo, put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Should a Jacksonville Jaguar ever be in the Hall of Fame?
This one should. That's my unwavering support for my friend Tony Boselli. I mean, you agree. He deserves it, right?
Who's second place on Jags that deserve to be in? Is it Fred Taylor that would deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
Probably Jimmy Smith, no?
No.
Is it Brunell? I'm saying it's not Brunell, but they don't have, I think, second place on borderline Hall of Famer, whether it's Keenan McCardell or Jimmy Smith or Fred Taylor. It's a long way ago. I guess maybe, defensive players.
No.
Calais Campbell, is he a Jag?
He was.
But he was on like 5 other teams.
I know.
I would say Jimmy Smith, probably.
What I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make
Jimmy
is
Smith had good numbers.
Yeah, it was great.
To Dan's point, it's a dire franchise history in Jacksonville. There's not a lot of memorable players. MJD's not a bad shout.
Yes, Maurice Jones-Drew is good. I want to get to Jess's F1 minute in a second, but first I want to go to some sound from Ferrari radio here, Stugotz, because I have not heard this. I simply asked, this Charles Leclerc, he looks like me, correct? Is this the driver who looks like me?
No, Spencer
Looks
Hall.
like you.
Spencer Hall did a funny joke where instead of calling him Charles Leclerc, he calls him Chuck Leclerc, and so he photoshopped what he thought Chuck Leclerc would look like.
Okay, I thought
you
that
look
was
like Chuck Leclerc.
Okay.
You do not look like Charles Leclerc.
No, those are very thin, small people. That's correct. Someone like me doesn't even fit in one of those cars.
What's his first name,
Thank
Leclerc?
you.
Charles.
I got to check.
It's not Charles. No, but you'd be
It's
looking.
spelled Charles.
You'd be looking at, though, what Spencer Hall put on Twitter was a fat NASCAR driver who looked like me.
Right. He's basically saying if Charles Leclerc were in the Sprint Cup Series, this is what he would look like, and we would call him Chuck Leclerc.
I don't know anything about F1, and so this is the sound of not Chuck Leclerc. This is Charles Leclerc. And what happens here? Just horror? Just straight horror.
So he's leading the race. He's leading the French Grand Prix. I'll let Jess get into the details, but this is the sound of what happens after he crashes.
Are you okay?
I cannot get throttle.
Now it's 0%.
No!
Sounds like you too. I mean,
It's a horrifying sound. They play this right after he crashes, and you can hear the angst. This is a guy whose season has gone disastrously. He's like second in the Drivers' Championship, but his season has been a nightmare. Ferrari have screwed him over. He's gone into the barrier twice, costing himself potential race wins. This guy should probably be winning the Drivers' Championship in Formula One, and he's 62 points behind the leader.
No, Monsieur Christophe, c'est non vrai.
what?
I guess it's time for the F1 minute here, even though I want to hear that
What
sound
gave it
again.
away?
Je suis stressé pour les minutes de Formula 1. J'ai besoin d'énergie. Énergie.
Let's go,
Wait for the
energy.
beat drop.
Oh, energy.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Circuit Powercar pour le Grand Prix de France. Les températures élevées sur le circuit signifient que la gestion des pneus va être essentielle. Charles Leclerc, le pilote automobile monégasque, fait face à Max Verstappen pour la première place. Le pilote Ferrari doit gagner pour rester dans les championnats. Mais non! Quelle horreur! Une catastrophe! Sacré bleu! Charles Leclerc sort de la course! Encore de la malchance! Il est fini! Une honte! Max Verstappen prend une grosse avance. Lewis Hamilton, le pilote Mercedes, est 12e. Carlos Sainz, l'autre pilote Ferrari, a commencé à la 19e place, d'où sa pénalité pour le changement du moteur. Et les roues contre roues avec Sergio Perez, mais l'imbécile de chez Ferrari recommence. Max Verstappen a fini premier de la course. Carlos Sainz est le pilote toujours. Lando, l'enfant Norris, a terminé 7e. Lance Stroll a terminé avec un point. Félicitations, Mike Crack.
Huh?
Wow! Oh my God!
Holy shit! Holy
Merci,
shit!
merci.
Oh my God! Was there an imbecile in there? Did you say
Les
imbecile?
imbéciles de chez Ferrari recommencent.
That sounded so exciting. I have no idea what happened.
Les pauvres Charles Leclerc, les pauvres.
My God, that was incredible.
That was
I
really
am
good.
so
Merci,
jealous that
merci
you can do that.
Christophe, merci Guillermo.
How much Google Translate did you need for that?
Mais non, je parle français.
You must have learned some French somewhere. You must have taken a
When?
class
When?
somewhere.
Where
Je parle
did
français.
you study abroad? My word.
Londres.
Really?
Yeah, you are
sounds like a
unveiling
place.
on us
It
and
means
the
London,
audience
Woody.
Thank you.
that you seem to speak French. We did not know that. Although we
Big
can't,
fan.
we
Well, it
don't,
was the French Grand Prix, Dan, if you didn't.
we don't have the ability
Pick
to
up on it.
check you though on whether or not the French was correct, but it sounded correct.
Well, I can read it to you in English if you want to hear it again.
Sure.
All right.
okay.
All right, here we go.
Great.
Well, now I have to translate it back. Okay, this is going to be actually kind of hard.
The English part.
I have to translate it back to English in my head from French, but I got this. All right. Hello and welcome to the Circuit Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix. The temperatures are high, which means that tire temperature is going to be very important. Charles Leclerc is the Monegasque driver, and he's going head-to-head versus Max Verstappen for first place. He needs to win to stay in the championship, but no, the horror, a catastrophe. Damn it, Charles Leclerc, he's out of the race. Bad luck once again. He's finished a disgrace. Max Verstappen has a big lead. Lewis Hamilton is in second place. Carlos Sainz, the other Ferrari driver, he came from 19th place because of a penalty due to changing his power unit. He's going wheel to wheel against Sergio Perez, but the idiots at Ferrari, they are idiots again. Max Verstappen finishes first. Carlos Sainz is the driver of the day. Baby Lando finishes in 7th. Lance Stroll finishes with a point. Congratulations, Mike Crack.
Huh?
You managed, and this is no indictment on the English version of this, but you managed to make that sound so much more exciting and faster, and
I mean, it was written for French. It wasn't written for English.
but you still did it extraordinarily
Sacre
well
bleu.
for French.
And I got it under a minute, right?
Well under a minute on that dismounted on my crack.
Thank you.
I have some bad news or some good news,
Oh,
depending on
no.
your vantage point. There are several directies to Canton, Ohio. I mean,
Directies?
direct flights, you know. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not taking more than one flight in a day.
From Jacksonville or from Miami?
Well,
or
from
Fort Lauderdale?
From Miami, not
Or
closer to my
Boca.
home in Jacksonville.
You're not flying up to sit GA, and you're not flying up if you have to take 2 flights. So the investment that you're willing to make for Tony Boselli's big day is a real bare minimum for you.
Well,
right?
hold on. How are the Bosellis getting up there? Because Jacksonville, I mean, you've shown that you're fine driving a distance and then taking a flight. So why don't you just drive up to Jacksonville and kind of hang out with them, fly up with them? I'm sure they're taking a PJ.
Little PJ private
Yeah, maybe
jet.
a little extra room for
And you're right.
Stugotz.
If I'm part of the family, friends
Yeah,
and
Uncle
family, I should
Stewie,
be on
yeah.
that jet. So now I want a private jet with the Bosellis, sitting with the Bosellis. Tony has to mention my name. It's fair.
Totally reasonable.
Yep.
Let's get into the news of the day, broken by Adrian Wojnarowski in the middle of the night. That isn't actually news, but I guess it's news because we have things that we need to talk about. And Boston, like everyone, is interested in Kevin Durant. Everyone should be interested in Kevin Durant.
Can I argue the fact that it is indeed news that you have the Celtics who made it to the finals, who are interested in parting with one of the guys who helped them get to the NBA Finals in Jaylen Brown. It is NBA free agency season, so I would argue that it is news. We're talking about Kevin Durant possibly going to a team that was a couple of games away from winning an NBA championship and teaming up with Jason Tatum. I think that's big news. The fact that they're willing to include Jaylen Brown, to me, is big news.
Is that surprising to you in any way, though? Like, when we talked about Golden State getting into this, everyone's going to be in on Kevin Durant. The reason I wonder whether it's news or not, I guess I'm parsing semantics here, but I'm saying that Boston would be interested is a surprise to no one. That Woj puts his name on Boston's interest at 2:30 in the morning is a development because we've been talking about the same couple of teams that he wants to go to. And so I suppose what would be newsy here is if someone was reporting, hey, Kevin Durant's willing to also go to Boston.
Right.
But that's not what's being reported here. What's being reported here is that Brooklyn has been unimpressed by the offers it's gotten. None of them are enough. And so they're trying to get better offers. Not news, of course. And so there's not the next development, the next news development on this is he is going to a team, not more teams are interested.
Or he
he'd be willing.
reports to training camp with the Brooklyn Nets, which is a distinct possibility now that we couldn't imagine when this started on the 1st of July that Kevin Durant could just potentially stay in Brooklyn.
I would assume 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, that Brooklyn and Sean Marks would look at you and say, perhaps for Jason Tatum, but not for less than Jason Tatum. Boston cannot get him. Before surveying the trade market, before being made aware that Kevin Durant wasn't going to want to be there, what's the trade value of Kevin Durant? It ain't Jaylen Brown. Yes, he's young.
Dan, there's no trade value for Kevin Durant. I mean, it's impossible to get equal value.
It's gone down enough that now Jaylen Brown maybe gets you in the game and starts another round of content conversations around a dry subject for a couple of weeks because we haven't had something to say about this, and people quickly tired of enough with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. Give me the news. Now you sprinkle a dollop of hope over here. You're selling Durant. You're selling the Nets. You're selling basketball, you're selling Boston, you're selling hope, you're controlling the narrative of the offseason through one of the insiders tweeting at 2:30 in the morning. Now Durant is in the game when I'm telling you that that's a diluted version of news the way that I define it, and yet I will talk about it and be interested in it because it's July and Durant moves the needle.
I'm not surprised that Jaylen Brown would be included in the deal. He has to be. There's no way to get him unless you do it. If you're not going to include Tatum.
But when you're talking
he is 24 years old, and he averaged 25 a game last year, and he was instrumental in getting that team to the NBA Finals. Like he was. He had great games.
And he doesn't represent value on Kevin Durant, but might be the best offer if Phoenix can't package Ayton, and they want something young, and they want draft picks. Another thing I would say on how this is being discussed, if your breaking point, because the reports are that Brooklyn said, no, thank you, we need more. It's not going to be enough Derek White and draft picks and even Jaylen Brown. I don't believe the reports that Marcus Smart would be a deal breaker because if I'm Boston, I would be like, yep, take him. Fine, no problem. You want Marcus Smart, you want Jaylen Brown, you want Derek White,
whoever you want besides Tatum. I mean, right?
Because I'm telling you that value is only Tatum. Where Brooklyn gets their part of the deal, if Brooklyn's willing to go to training camp with him, Stugotz, if Brooklyn's taking away the leverage of, no, we don't want your Miami, you don't have enough. Phoenix, you don't have enough. No, if this is what Gobert is worth, then Durant is worth. Nope. Boston, you've got enough, but more.
To me, the interesting part of why Marcus Smart isn't in the deal, and you've heard, the Heat not wanting to include X player and Phoenix not wanting to include both Bridges and Ayton. And it seemed like some of these teams are drawing lines. And I don't know if that's because they've already agreed that they're sending all of their draft capital. And so don't take my entire team and all of my picks, or if the Brooklyn Nets are just in a really shitty leverage situation. That even though they have Kevin Durant under contract for 4 years, they can't dictate terms. And that the reason why a trade hasn't happened yet in the month since Kevin Durant's trade request is that I don't think the Nets and whoever they are agreeing to trade with have agreed on what the leverage status is between the two teams. That Brooklyn feels like, we've got Kevin Durant, give us everything. And the teams that are trading for him are you're not in a position to dictate terms because your whole thing's falling apart.
Right.
So I think that's why a trade hasn't happened yet, is because there isn't that feeling that we know what this player is worth to both teams.
He's also going to be 34 when the season starts. 34. Like, think about that with Kevin Durant. 34 years old, and he's had some injuries. Like, he's had the Achilles. He's had some stuff that's happened.
The part that I think is interesting about this is that the previous incarnations of Boston fans getting very frustrated with Danny Ainge and the inability to pull the trigger on anything, collecting assets but not actually getting a big-time player, patient, waiting for his young players to develop. That Brad Stevens would get in there and say that a finals appearance and us being the favorites next year, the betting favorites next year, that rarely trades up. That rarely has the guts in sports to say, no, I want more.
This guy rarely becomes available, though. This guy.
But what that's the part of it that's interesting. If you're going to send it out at 2:30 in the morning without any developments, is you throw those two ingredients together, and you got somebody that's already close, a team that's already obviously very close. You've still got Boston Celtics putting their names on, we were the better team. They were just more disciplined.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, Jalen and Marcus Smart seem to make that makes sense to me. You draw the line, obviously, at Tatum and Al Horford, but I think that Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart make plenty of sense. The Celtics have to do that if indeed they can get Kevin Durant for Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. How could you not do that?
Well, because you mentioned it, age. Jaylen Brown's 24, Kevin Durant's 34. If you actually believe that Tatum and Brown are a championship core, you keep the two of them together and you try and win championships for the next 10 years.
And because they went to betting favorite when they added Brogdon. That Brogdon was enough. It made me wonder, since Kevin Durant is looking, allegedly, the reporting is in Miami that he wanted Lowry and Bam to stay. I wondered to myself, what could have changed here if Kevin Durant is indeed interested in Boston? Is it that they got Brogdon? Is that Marcus Smart isn't who he would want to play with as a point guard? Their greatest weakness as a team they fixed with the trade for Brogdon.
But again, points of leverage. Kevin Durant can want to go somewhere, but he's got a 4-year contract. So if Boston trades for him, you kind of have to show up and play unless you want to sit out for 4 years. So Boston, they might not have 100% buy-in, but you can say to Kevin Durant, look, we just lost out. You're the piece that gets us over the top. You come in and replace Jaylen Brown, and we could potentially go win a championship. And I think Kevin Durant would have to at least look somewhat intrigued at that. But again, he doesn't have all the leverage. He's a superstar in the NBA, so he has a shed load of leverage, but he doesn't have all of it.
If it played out, I actually think it would be a great decision, the rare one by Kevin Durant in terms of his career, because they haven't gotten over the top. They've been close. He could be the guy that gets the Boston Celtics, one of the premier franchises in the NBA and all of sports, over the top, and he might have to do it while beating the Golden State Warriors. And so that's like coming full circle. Like, that would be a great decision if he went there, did it, and was the guy who got him over the top beating the Warriors.
Then you would give him a championship.
One. Yes. That one. Yes. He still wouldn't have the other two, so he'd be at -1 with me.
I like how you said the rare good decision he's made with his career.
Well, it is.
He's not made any other good one.
Have the Nets turned down.
To be fair, I heard an unbelievable point that Kevin Pelton made, that if you said, where is Kevin Durant most popular in the NBA right now, you'd probably say Seattle. Yeah. And he hasn't played for Seattle in 15 years.
Right. Bad decisions. A string of them.
Can I just get your math again on how you have him having now -1 titles?
What do you mean?
So currently he's sitting on -2, Stugotz?
He is, yeah.
Not only were they not championships.
Not only were they not championships, but now you have subtracted championships.
He's got a long way back to even, Dan.
Yeah. He moved the Sonics to Oklahoma, pissed everybody off there.
The other transaction over the weekend, or an actual transaction as opposed to this one, which is just 2:30 in the morning tweeting.
Can I very quickly point out, so I was listening to Andre Iguodala's podcast, Point Forward, available on the LeBatard and Friends Podcast Network, and he was talking about how annoyed he is that trades that don't happen still get reported. because you are messing with the player in their current situation. He thinks that it's really messed up that we report about names being thrown out there. It's just pretty shitty for Jaylen Brown to find out that from both Woj and Shams that Boston are shopping him. And I don't know how they come back from that. If they don't end up doing the Durant trade, this is rare that it gets out in that way. That Jaylen, like, it's names. Boston are willing to part with Jaylen Brown to go get Durant, and Brooklyn said no.
It's not quite the exact same thing, but when Atlanta was interested in signing Deshaun Watson earlier this year, Matt Ryan was like, well, in that case, I'm going to look and see where I can play. And he ended up going to Indianapolis, and they didn't even get Deshaun Watson for it. So it can end up backfiring.
Woody, I understand what you're saying. Is there a part of Jaylen Brown, though, that use it from this standpoint? I'm good enough to be traded for Kevin Durant.
No.
Right. I
It's
mean,
a compliment. It is a compliment, though.
you can think of it that way, but it's Boston. They came up together, particularly, as you mentioned, the Brad Stevens element, the betrayal of, wait a second, this is my coach who's coached me from the beginning. He's in charge now.
It's so
he
hurtful.
wants to get rid of
Nobody
me to go
cares.
get Durant?
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
At all. Like, of course, any one of us in those situations would be stung like, oh, the corporation doesn't actually care about me. And no one listening to this cares, not a person. Oh, it hurts your feelings? Toughen up.
Right.
You're not as good as Kevin Durant.
It was funny because after they were talking about it, they're like, and then they have the audacity. Evan Turner was in Boston, and he was about to become a free agent. He had a good year. And the media went up to him and was like, are you going to take a hometown discount to stay here? He's like, what? I'm not even from here. You want me to take a hometown discount when I'm like 5 minutes away from you putting me in a trade in the offseason? Like, it was interesting. Like, this is where new media helps. It made me think of, all right, when these guys end up publicly in trade talks, and this is like straight up, Shams this morning tweeted, Boston offered Jaylen Brown, Brooklyn said no. It's got to be shitty to be Jaylen Brown to read that in the media.
To learn that you're not a human being, that you're a commodity, that you're an asset.
It's a business, yeah. Cortez sends us a tweet here from at Alex Schiffer. Worth remembering Kevin Durant and Udoka have become close since Udoka spent a year with him in Brooklyn and at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Is it worth remembering that?
I don't know. You just reported it. You just
I
stopped
didn't.
everything
He
we
did.
were doing and
I was
decided
asking
that
you.
was the time to read. You
But
decided.
you're a journalist. I'm asking you, should we remember that he has a good relationship with Udoka?
Hey, you're asking if he wants to go to Boston. That can help.
You threw it in the middle of what we
good
were doing.
relationship's a good relationship. Cortez did.
You
It's on your phone, too. I mean, I was just looking. I mean,
you decided that was the time you were going to read. That was
I like
the time
to keep up with the story.
you were
know?
going to be informed. I thought you were looking at your phone trying to negotiate better seats at Boselli's Hall of Fame
Well, I'm
induction.
doing that at the same time. I mean, this is great. Boselli hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Billy, do you think he's going to end up there? Yes or no? If you had to bet with DraftKings on whether or not Stugotz
What
will
day is
actually emotionally show up. I've seen it on the calendar for 2 months.
Well, hold on. What day is it?
You see my calendar?
I saw your vacation days so that I could work
what day would
around
make it
them.
most likely that he would go? Like a Monday, a weekday? Because he's not going to go on a weekend,
The
right?
Hall of Fame
It is on a weekend.
Sunday.
It's a Saturday. It's a
Yeah.
Saturday night speech, and it's all weekend.
But the game's usually Thursday, and then they do like a whole thing.
No,
for
they do
3
the
days,
Sunday.
Right?
They do the Sunday ceremony. I think a Monday night game. So I'd
But-
be up there. I think that's the way they
The
do
game is not what he would be going for. He'd be going
Right.
for the induction ceremony.
Right.
The GA is not. It's not general admission at the game. He doesn't care about the
The
game. He's not
induction
going to the
ceremony
game.
would be August the 6th.
it. Not ruling anything out right now. I mean,
Billy.
maybe the game, but definitely not ruling anything else out.
So
I mean,
Dead and Company seems to not be touring
They're
right
done.
now, correct?
Yeah, they're done.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's off the table.
Wait, so it's a Saturday? It's the 6th?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't
Billy?
understand how we're less than 2 weeks out from this, and you're still like, I don't understand.
Sunday
how,
works better
I don't,
for
I don't
me
know
at
how
any
He's
Stugotz
rate.
going-
lives.
he's going
I
to
don't know
tell-
how Stugotz lives, where it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be.
He's
I don't know
gonna
if I'm gonna
tell-
be halfway across the country
By
in a
the
week and a
seat
half.
of my pants.
He will be telling everybody that he might show up right up until like I might change 2 flights. I might do this. That morning
direct
he'll
ones
still
here.
be
It's
telling.
encouraging.
He'll still be telling people that he might go, there's an off chance. And I'm
In
trying
fairness to him, the Bosellis haven't given him his itinerary yet, so
Exactly right.
we don't know.
Let's wait and see how it plays out, Dano. All right.
I'd still like to hear what Billy has as a betting favorite, though. Billy seems to be sitting the whole thing out, and I'm just trying to get him on the record with what he thinks is going to happen here.
I'm leaving
Because I've got him not going now at all. No chance. I've heard about Gronk bachelor parties, all sorts of things.
Oh, that was Mojo's, and that was a whole. We were supposed to be there for the draft, and then we didn't get
Not
flown
my
out for the
fault.
draft.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
not my fault.
I'm not saying
maybe
it's
your
your
fault.
fault.
Dan.
I'm
Your
not-
company didn't send.
We
us,
had good
yeah.
intentions. Yeah,
We tried.
No one
We're
wanted
trying to set
send us.
DraftKings
No one
odds
wanted
back
to
here, and
foot the
I said
bill, you know?
I started the bidding at -150.
I
Tony
would
has
love for
escalated to
DraftKings to
-500.
sponsor Stugotz's trip to Canton. I don't trust him to show up. I don't think that makes me unreasonable.
Now we're talking. I mean, if DraftKings wants to
Yeah,
sponsor
but
it,
now
that'd
we're
be
not
great.
because it's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
This
but maybe a
talking
little-
should have happened 2 months ago.
But maybe me and you, little trip to Canton, Billy, little Thursday remote, huh? We do the little show Thursday, Hall of Fame preview. We get Jimmy on. We get the Bosellis on. And then Saturday, you and I taking the induction together with the Bosellis.
Yeah.
And a little football after that, huh?
Well, no, the football's Thursday, isn't
Oh,
it?
that's problematic. I don't want to go to that game. I mean, it's the first preseason game of the year. Who wants to watch that?
They got new turf, though, so you might
Oh,
not see
I'm
a
back.
season-ending injury.
The other transaction over the weekend, Kyler Murray got a whole bunch of money, and we've got to figure out. I saw some of the stats thrown around that his yearly salary is more than the annual payroll of the Oakland A's that drafted him to play baseball.
I have a question. Can we make fun of him for being short? Because there were lots of memes, and I was like, I don't know if this is allowed. Like, I saw little, like, race cars driving down the expressway saying Kyler Murray was going to get his check because he's little, and it was, like, a remote control car.
Like a go-kart?
No, smaller. It was
Like
a remote control car.
Yeah, one of those cars that
driving, like,
yeah,
90 miles an hour
I
down the
got you.
expressway. Yeah.
matchbox car, like a matchbox.
No, a little bigger than that. Picture it this way. Have you guys seen Ocean's 11?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Do you remember the scene where the two crazy brothers, one of them is racing one in this giant monster truck, and the other one has a
Yes.
remote control monster
Yes.
truck, and they're racing, and then the little, spoiler alert, the little remote control monster truck is beating the actual truck. So then Scott Conn, who recently lost his father, just quickly turns and drives over the remote control car. Remember that?
I do remember that,
Like
Billy.
that size car. Not the monster truck, the other car.
So not smaller than a Formula 1 car.
Yeah, like the size that Ben Affleck's brother was driving remotely. In the movie, not in real life.
So you're asking if we can make fun of him for his height?
Well, I'm asking, like, how should I feel about the memes? Because I saw the memes and I was like, I don't know how to feel.
You were conflicted. Am I allowed to make fun of people being short anymore?
Well, I didn't repost any of them, but, you know, inside I wondered, how do I feel inside about this?
But you didn't put it on the outside because you feared that it might be inappropriate. Do you spend a lot of time fearing being canceled for stepping
Not
over?
canceled, I'm not famous, but I do, I mean, just generally spend a lot of time fear, yes.
He lives in fear.
Yeah.
So what did
Healthy fear.
what did your inside determine on how you feel about it?
To ask you guys, because
Okay.
you guys have a better grip of this than I do.
I'd like to talk about what it is the Cardinals just did, Stugotz. You give Kyler Murray, it's not your money, but in a salary capped sport where the advantages have to be found in the margins, many of them are finding them with coaching, paying staffs more and more money, because that's not a place where you have to manage costs. They just gave the next extraordinary amount of money to a quarterback who you do the measurements with winning all the time, Stugotz. And that team, God, is that a puzzling team? Because 11 games in last season, I say they beat anybody.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it falls apart. And I don't know enough about football to know if they were stripped down in the playoff game where they were embarrassed because they got outcoached. I don't know enough about what I'm watching to understand how Kyler Murray gets that slowed, because was it all figured out that Kingsbury didn't have anything, and at the end Kyler Murray is frustrated because he's looking around and he's like, oh shit, we were the best team in the league and now I'm exposed and embarrassed and people are wondering whether I'm worth money.
Well, you can argue about the Kyler Murray extension, or you can argue about the Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Keim extensions. What are they doing in Arizona?
They're going all in on Kyler Murray, and it was so embarrassingly exposed in that playoff game. How does Arizona recover from that? Because if they get off to a very good start, they started 7-0 last year, and then they finished 3-5. They started 5-2 in 2020. They finished 3-6. So if they get off to another good start, if they start 6-1, their offense looks like their offense again. We're just going to be waiting for them to look like themselves again. And like these are things that are now only determined in the second half of the year and in the playoffs for Arizona, because we know that at their best, Arizona can be an amazing offense, but they've locked themselves into, with this contract, a really huge amount of money for Kyler Murray, and we don't know if defenses have just figured him out. It's a big risk to take.
Well, if that's the case, then I think Cliff Kingsbury needs to figure out how to undo that or overcome it.
But how much of the initial success is to do with Cliff Kingsbury? Because I don't think a lot of NFL coaches would have taken Kyler Murray and wanted to build their entire offense around him. They have, to be fair to Arizona and to Cliff Kingsbury, done a very good job of maximizing Kyler Murray, except in the biggest games when he gets I don't know if that's
well,
a thing.
There's been one biggest game. I mean,
no,
it's
but
one playoff game.
but it's second halves of the year again. During Cliff Kingsbury time in Arizona, he's won 7 games in the second half of the season.
Right.
They get exposed as the year goes on.
Yeah, and I've also seen people bring up his Texas Tech record because he's been bad in the back half of those seasons when he was a college coach. But I think college schedules are probably a little different in that you're playing more conference teams and conference rivals in the second half of the season. Although I guess some NFL schedules, depending, your second half of the season could be more division rival heavy year to year. But I don't know. I think there's 32 NFL quarterbacks, right? And it costs a lot of money to have one of the better ones. So you have to.
And they have one.
I think they have one. It's the cost of doing business to give him money. I think it's going to look like a pretty good deal in a year. He didn't even get record-setting money or anything like that.
He's 24.
Right. It was $160 million guaranteed, right?
And the new TV money is only just kicking in.
Right.
So,
I think,
the salary cap is going to go up every single year for the next 10 years.
Right. I think the bigger question is if they're going all in on Kyler Murray, sure, you could say that, but I think they're also kind of going all in on this head coach and GM, which haven't really proven anything yet. Whereas Kyler Murray's at least looked really good at times and is probably worth the cost.
But when he looked good, Kingsbury also looked good.
Well, Kingsbury always looks good.
That's true. The reason too is we're omitting a glaring thing is the linchpin of the offense is DeAndre Hopkins, right?
He's not been very good. He's not been
hurt.
Hopkins, but he hasn't been Hopkins for 4 years, right? Just numerically.
He's going to be suspended for the first 6 games, but they also got Hollywood Brown. They're building a team around Kyler Murray.
100%.
Nobody trusts Hollywood Brown, though.
That's the
With
thing.
Hopkins, you do, though.
With
More
Hopkins,
so.
right?
Yes.
But so you can see the splits of when Hopkins was healthy and when he was playing with Kyler Murray and when he wasn't. Also, if you want to think back to, I want to say it was week 7 when they played Green Bay where they had a chance to win at the goal line. Kyler Murray got hurt, tore his ankle up, and was playing hurt the entire season. DeAndre Hopkins was a shell of himself, and they were relying on A.J. Green. Right? That was the offense. A.J. Green's there. We're going to throw out Rondale Moore and Christian Kirk. It's
and now they lost Kirk, too. Now Kirk. Where's Kirk?
Robert? Kirk? By the way, DeAndre Hopkins took a step back, but I think it might be overstated just how much of a step back. Last year's Pro Football Focus receiver number 15, the year before number 6, the year before number 5. So he's still an unbelievable player. He's just not the very best receiver in the league, but they need him. They need him to be good. But the question is, what's the succession plan there? And that's where presumably Hollywood Brown comes into play.
But the part that I wanted to talk about with you guys, because I do think it's hard to make all of these assessments on what is value at this position when you arrive at $50 million a year for a quarterback. Again, in a salary cap sport, where you want to have value at that position so that you can withstand injuries and guys declining and your team's not built flimsy, because weird as it is, you get to 10-1 in that sport. People forgot. The last half of that season, Arizona stopped being a good football team when I thought that team can beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
That team is good.
9-1, 10-1, we were saying they could beat anyone.
But they were so
Yes.
bad in the playoffs,
Right.
so very bad, exposed, not immediately eliminated, and impotent at quarterback and coach. Impotent at quarterback and coach when they got eliminated. I think you have to pay someone like that when at that position, and there are 12 guys in the league. Not only is he one of those 12 guys, but he's also a guy who, when your coach isn't that good, maybe he can make it up. Maybe he can just
Bail him
figure
out.
it out because
Yeah.
he's so good back there, more athletic. I can compensate for whatever it is wrong with my coach because I've got a guy who's not only one of those 12, but is also a guy that can simply erase everything that I've done poorly on offense and they've done well on defense because you can't guard that. That's why Lamar Jackson's price just went up. That's why that is the Lamar Jackson not having an agent keeps getting his value go higher and higher by just sitting there waiting.
But I think people would say at least Lamar's made it MVP. He's made it to an AFC championship game. Kyler hasn't done those things. I would still give Kyler the money. He's a very good player.
But what I'm saying
he's
is
got 90 touchdowns and 34 interceptions in 3 seasons.
My point, though, Stugotz, is that if it's one of those 12 guys and he has the magical ability and he can win me a game just because he's running around back there,
Right.
and it has nothing to do with play calls or scheme or anything we did during the week, you've got to pay him. Like, without exception, you have to.
someone else will.
You can't lose that guy because somebody else will get him.
The Cardinals traded the Eagles for Zach Ertz, the corpse of Zach Ertz, midway through the season. Kyler Murray made him an absolute star for the last 5 games of the year. And it was like, where did this come from? Oh, Kyler Murray's just way better than everybody else.
But is there not a Lamar Jackson-like concern with the running game? Again, he is, for me, the quickest player in the NFL, just in terms of his ability to shift and use his feet. If that drops off slightly, that's a huge step back. He's already run it 314 times in his 3 seasons. It's very early to be concerned
He's only
about
missed 2
losing
games,
quickness.
Woody.
But the other element from last year, he didn't lose any of them. He fumbled the ball 12 times. Again, these are small things where you look at him and go, are these bigger concerns? Like, are you winning the Super Bowl with paying Kyler Murray $40 million a year? Maybe you can, but like you said, Dan, when it comes to that rookie contract value, it's going to be hard. You know, when you're an NFL team, if you can somehow get your quarterback on $9 million, spend your $200 million of the salary cap on building out the rest of the roster, it is a significant advantage.
I don't think you can say you traded for the corpse of Zach Ertz.
Why not?
It's just,
Shaming the dead,
I don't know.
Am I?
calling a human being a corpse.
Is that shaming the dead? Is that Ertz is the
shaming the
dead
living,
there? I
yeah.
think that's shaming the
Shaming the-
living
oh, good
to
shout.
call him to
Yeah.
call him a
Just
corpse.
don't call him short.
I also don't think you could call him an absolute superstar in Arizona when they
Well, I
went
mean,
3
Dan,
and
you got to
5.
look at the splits there. The
That's
last
more
5 games, he was
offensive.
a superstar.
Right, check the splits. I mean, Tony's right.
Put it
Have
up.
you? I mean,
You
Those are-
check Tony's
Those
splits.
are in splits.
every day.
Check the splits is not
Splits
an
of when him
argument.
and, Philly and him and
When I
Why
say-
don't you tell us the splits, though?
when I ask someone, when I say to someone, was that person an absolute superstar? The response cannot be check the splits.
It's tight end, Dan.
Should we go as a show to Rolling Loud next year? Should we be doing
What is that?
something from
I have a
Appearance fee?
thing. Yeah.
I Have a Thing?
Well, I will unless there's an appearance fee.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine a place. I mean, I would like to go for the cultural experience. I just don't think I would feel very odd about it. I was like, I don't know. I just feel
Why?
strange. I don't know why. I feel strange my entire time there. It's a lot of energy.
Well, before Mike Ryan walked in, you were asking the 3 least likely people in this crew that would go to that. It was me, Billy, and Whitty.
What do you mean? What's the most energy you've ever been around, Whitty, if that's a lot of energy?
The F1 minute.
Mike did take me to a
I have
mosh
to
pit
go learn
once.
Hungarian now.
I did jump in a mosh pit once. That was a lot.
What?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Really?
Mike, our show at Rolling Loud. Any interest?
No. No. What? So they can a place that is established that they'll throw things at people that they like? No. No, absolutely not.
But what are your thoughts? Like, because you say our show, they're like, are we just going as like concert goers, or are we doing something?
No,
there?
I want to start going to music festivals and talking to artists. I want to start making content that goes outside of sports, and would like for our show to be able to grab an assortment of interesting people during a partying time in Miami and have them come by.
I don't think that's the one though. I don't. I think last year they had a wrestling match. Like a portion of WWE SmackDown was at Rolling Loud, and the WWE is a lot bigger than this show, and the crowd wasn't really about it. It looked cool though. Do you want to look cool? You guys want to look cool?
I can't look cool there. I'm too old to look cool there, but I would like to talk to Travis Scott if he's making a guest appearance out of nowhere.
Well, just because we're there doesn't mean we're getting
No, but
Travis Scott.
I know, but I mean to coordinate it a year out, Stugotz. No, we can't get into Boselli's Hall of
You think
Fame
Travis
induction
Scott?
without planning it out.
I will say you also want to plan with an enterprise that you're borrowing and lending from their established track record of responsibility and administrative efficiency. Kanye was supposed to play that 3 days ago.
I know. He disappeared.
You know,
but
there's-
that's
Well, then he
Kanye.
showed up also.
Rolling Loud is a bit of a. I think it would just probably magnify our own problems.
Did Kanye, was he like, I don't know, obviously, but he backed out, right? And then he went and just performed anyways. So, like, he turned down money, but then he did it for free?
I think promotionally, I don't know if he did it for free because he came out, right? I don't think Kanye does anything for free. I think Kanye either does something for a lot of money or does something that he will stand to lose a lot of money from. But there is no in between, which is free.
I wanted to ask you guys, as we get Stugotz, we are not the greatest show to talk about superheroes. We are getting criticized for last week's effort.
But we admitted that. That was a disclaimer we put up front, Dan. Also, I think our show, if we're going to go to a Miami event and we're going to like be part of it, I feel like our vibe more fits the International Boat Show than Rolling Loud.
Oh, that
Nice.
thing.
I'm in.
Love that.
I hate that thing.
Why?
Just
The
ruins
traffic is
traffic.
always awful.
Really?
No, at least Rolling Loud's at one centralized location. There's at least 7 different places that have a boat show event. It's
There's
ridiculous.
there's 3 weeks that I've learned. My 1-year anniversary of moving to Miami was on Saturday, actually.
Wow.
Happy
3
anniversary.
weeks that I've
Happy
learned
anniversary.
2 days
to
before
not
Tony's
go
birthday.
anywhere when you live in Miami. One is Art Basel week. One is Rolling Loud / Ultra. Both of those weeks are terrible. And number 3 is the International Boat Show week. It took
The
me
Fairmont
once an
in
hour
Westchester,
to get
too.
home.
Yeah.
You mentioned, Tony, a happy 31st birthday to our own and Stugotz's especially beloved Tony.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
As a gift to him, Stugotz, you want to give him Zach Ertz's numbers the second half of the season last year in
The
Arizona?
splits, yeah. I mean, we'll have our own form of splits later. But Tony, Ertz's numbers since he joined the Cardinals, 18 catches, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, you called him great.
An absolute superstar.
You did. He was better with the other team.
Happy 31st birthday to Tony. Billy, you mentioned that someone has come in repeatedly recently with their clothes on the wrong way. Was it Tony or was it someone else? Because you delighted in informing me.
No. I ask, are you guys aware of this happening? Because it was just brought to my attention by someone in the front row that wasn't Chris Whittingham that said, hey, someone's come in here multiple times with their shirt inside out. Because Danny, who works on video, came in and he was wearing this Miami Heat shirt that, like, I guess is cool, where everything's printed in reverse. So cool. I guess it's to take pictures in the mirror or something. I don't exactly know. But I asked him, are you wearing your clothes inside out? Because it looked like he was wearing his clothes inside out. And then someone who shall remain nameless said, we actually have someone around these parts that's come in here multiple times with their shirt on inside out. And I was like, wait, what? So that's why I was asking you guys if you guys had noticed this.
I just became incredibly self-conscious thinking that I presently have my shirt inside out.
I looked at my buttons.
There's a chance it's me. I know there
The
is.
betting favorite is Chris Cody when we were talking about it.
I'd say Bob.
Yeah, I don't know who.
I'd say Bob is the leading candidate.
Really? What are you doing there? Why are you doing that to Bob?
Because I think Bob would notice and not care.
Well, who
I think
is it?
everyone would notice and not care. That's probably why it's happened more than once. I don't know who brought that up to you, Billy, since you won't tell us. But it does seem like something that someone would do and then not change out of or notice because they don't really care that much.
But how did you notice? Did you see the tags on the shirt or like the thing printed on the back?
It's always the seam. That's how you can tell. The
This
seam.
is me
when
then.
The seams, yeah, Dan keeps checking his shoulders. I think it might have been Dan.
Where did this come from, though?
That.
Who is it?
I don't know either. It happened like a few times last summer, and I don't remember.
It's the strangest thing because someone who says she doesn't remember said, I know that it wasn't Tony and I know it wasn't you, to me, but doesn't remember who it was.
Who are you protecting?
I'm not protecting.
It seems like you are.
It wasn't even, might not have even been me who said it in the first place. The person should remain nameless, as Billy said.
Yeah. I mean, you did describe a lot of things that you could point to either
Maybe
Dan
she
or
also
Stugotz.
noticed.
Yeah, you could.
Stugotz was trying to process as you were talking, and he thought for sure you were talking about him.
I have this one shirt where I'm confused, this Lululemon shirt, where I don't know if I'm wearing it correctly every single time I'm wearing it.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
That is the trend now, to make the seams, the outside seams look like inside seams.
And I don't know when we got into this trend where you needed a left sock and a right sock, but it's thrown my
I
life
love
into
it.
chaos.
I love left sock, right
Yeah,
sock.
it's-
Oh, my fanciest socks.
No, you
All my
can't do
fancy
that.
socks are right socks, left
You can't
socks.
do
Those
that.
are the ones I rewear more than once.
It's the item that always gets lost in the laundry. You can't be
I
doing
need to
that.
know which foot is getting
I
lost
need to be
in the
told,
laundry.
yeah.
Now
I
I'm
agree.
freaking out. Where's right? Where's right?
I need the big toe to fit in the big toe spot and the little toe to fit in the little toe
sound like a
spot.
quarterback.
And roast beef to go where roast beef goes.
Also, I did something when I came back from Tahoe. I had run out of right socks. I had put up a bundle of socks that was two lefts. It was the same sock, but it was two lefts. It was my last clean pair. And I thought it would throw my life into chaos if I put a left sock on a right foot. Guess what? None of it mattered. I hopped on the plane. I didn't notice. Once I got
That's
past the
bad
first
luck.
30
No, you
seconds,
can't
which
wear two
admittedly were
left
very
socks.
tough.
No, put it
First
on-
30 seconds, but it was all in my mind.
No,
Once
Guillermo-
I started putting a foot in front of the other,
Psychosomatic socks.
once you started putting a foot in front of the other,
Guillermo,
I
put it on the
guarantee you
poll.
it doesn't matter.
Put it on the poll at LeBatard Show. Are you an idiot and a loser if you wear two left socks?
That little piggy was so confused. It was like, am I going home or am I going to the market? Everything's so wrong.
Also, what is the batting average on you put 12 socks in the wash and you come out with 12 socks? Mine's about like 30%. I use mismatched socks all the time just because it's nearly impossible, especially because I have a community, like 2 washing machines, 2 dryers. I see socks all over that room that are mine, that are like in this corner and that corner. I never come back with 12 out of 12 socks.
Where do they
and
go?
they all line up symmetrically.
Where do they go?
Do you think if you just put 12 socks in and nothing else, you'd come back with 12 socks?
I come back with 11.
Right. I'm with you. I'm totally
I
with
might
you.
even come back with 13.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at LeBatard Show. If you put 12 socks in,
That happens to me all the time.
Extra socks?
The missing sock.
I have
yeah.
a massive pile in my closet that is just left-footed socks. I only have 2 red socks. When one just goes missing, I don't have the use for the other red one.
I think it happens to everybody. I believe that I go into the transaction with I'm not going to get as many socks back as I put in here.
I should just auto-subscribe on Amazon to give me socks once every 3 months because my sock pile is so much smaller than it was a year ago, and I don't know where the socks went. I have no idea.
Socks used to be nothing that you'd ever think about.
Nope.
You just grab a 24-pack at a Kmart and you're on your way. But
You'd
then
be good for
designer
5
socks came
years.
into the
Yeah.
equation.
Mhm.
And now losing one red stand sock ruins your day because you're out $36.
And now for men, the longer socks are back. You see a lot of guys that will wear socks up to their calves. I've always been a no-show / ankle sock guy, so I'm purposely out of trend. But it has become a much more difficult game than it ever needed to.
Telling you, Dan, we're in a bad place with socks.
I agree.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Are we in a bad place with socks?
Can someone name names on wearing the shirts the wrong way?
I'm going to say it's Bob.
It's not Bob.
I think there's a greater than zero chance that Bob right now presently is not wearing his clothes on the right way. I'm gonna go check it out.
Well, if it's Chris Cody, what would be your theory? Like he wears
He
it
wears
right
a black T-shirt every day
and just flips
and
it over
just
and thinks no
didn't-
one will notice.
Yeah, didn't
right.
notice.
Gets 2 wears.
We are going to get to Stugotz's weekend observations in a second, but getting back because the content people have caught up post-pandemic, and I just saw an onslaught of She-Hulk, Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Black Panther had a trailer that should win awards at the way it went from No Women, No Cry to Kendrick Lamar. And our knowledge on this subject is terrible, as evidenced by someone who writes in, your utter lack of knowledge around the show Super Friends is astounding. First, there was no mention of the Wonder Twins, and Robin is a figgin' badass. Figgin' is how it's spelled.
Oh.
Let me drop some knowledge bombs on you.
He's that guy.
I don't want any of those knowledge
I
bombs.
love a knowledge bomb.
You guys talk superheroes without me. I'm kind of bummed because
Yeah.
I'm
Not
doing a lot
well.
of the heavy lifting when it comes to the superheroes on this show. I can only imagine. However, that is not the flex that person thinks it is. You guys don't remember the 1970s Super Friends show? How dare you forget the Wonder Twins? It's the lamest bit of banter I've seen on our socials.
We had a very informed conversation about superheroes while you were gone, Mike. It was really top notch.
I read a random list of the worst superheroes on the internet, and 3 of them are now being made into movies. The Rock is voicing one of them. I think Squirrel Girl, we talked about Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is being made into a movie, I think, or was already made into a movie.
Well, The Rock is...
People will go nuts.
The Rock is Black Adam, correct? That they're all coming out. It's an explosion of these kinds of movies and trailers and special effects. You didn't like Venom, right? Venom has already come out with there's a second Venom, and you didn't like the first Venom.
I thought the first one, Tom
There's
Hardy's
more
performance
Venom?
was really good in what he was. It was very disjointed. I hated the way that it was edited. It was very rushed. And then I saw the sequel, and it was just even worse than the first in so many respects. But I'll still keep going for Tom Hardy's performance and seeing if they can make this weird mishmash of Sony's aspect of the Marvel Cinematic Universe work. I think there's some very good with the rebooted Spider-Man franchise. I think it gets really messy when they try to tell Venom's story in an alternate timeline, in an alternate universe. I saw Morbius. That was a disaster. However, it was somehow...
You were Morbin?
I was Morbin. I've morbed twice.
You've been wanting to talk about how bad Morbius was and then you got distracted by Al Pacino and the House of Gucci.
I will tell you that if you thought Morbius was Jared Leto's worst performance of the year, may I present to you House of Gucci? House of Gucci, I was floored by how bad it was. Was it purposefully campy and bad? Because if that's the case, then I could come around on this. But it's Ridley Scott. They were going for it. And it is so dreadful, so slow in parts, so overperformed to the point of comedy. Jared Leto, you just end up laughing at how badly he missed this one. With Morbius, I mean, it's Jared Leto as a vampire. That's not even a stretch for the man.
Did you hate it? Which one did you hated?
I hated House of Gucci more
more
because there were redeeming qualities with Morbius, and that's the memes. The memes have been great. Morbin is great. I thought I would be super excited to morb, and then I morbed too much. It was too much morbid for me.
Too close to the
I
sun.
morbed too close to the sun, and you shouldn't do that if you're a vampire.
Boston should investigate that. Dan, speaking of birthdays this weekend, it was Vin Diesel's birthday. He turned 55, and apparently he celebrated it with Helen Mirren. There was a Page 6 article about this, and I have to read this to you. It says, a spy exclusively told us Diesel was wearing a blazer, which he then took off to reveal a tank top, fitting for the scorching temps.
I'm glad that we stopped in on Vin Diesel, and
It's
the,
also
He was wearing
fitting
a
for
tank
Vin
top
Diesel.
under his blazer.
Yeah,
Inside
every photo
Out,
that I've
or-
seen of Vin Diesel, he's wearing a tank top only.
With
So it's
Helen
nice that he
Mirren.
dressed up. Yeah. Well, is Helen Mirren in that franchise? Yeah.
I love.
I'm sorry, did you not think that was important? What's wrong with you?
I'm just laughing at his crew later in life. One of the great action stars is Helen Mirren. I just love that she's a wonderful actress.
Bit of a youth movement for that franchise.
But Vin Diesel runs off the rock and takes himself very seriously with the Fast and the Furious franchise and hangs out with Helen Mirren. That's funny to me.
Billy, I don't mean to pick at a scab here, but it's Vin Diesel. It seems all he's got going on right now, outside of his blossoming music career, is the Fast and the Furious movies, and it's a weird thing to happen to him because he's a huge breadwinner for him. This is a franchise that he thought he was too good for. Around the second one, he dipped out on the franchise and then was brought back, and now he runs the show.
Or the Guardians of the Galaxy still around? Yeah, they're having number 3 now. Oh,
I like
he in
those.
that?
Those are good.
says
Those
I
are
am
good
Groot.
movies, but those are speaking
Pays the
parts.
bills, yeah.
I think I would
Just a speaking part. How dare you?
I think there is
Say that to
a
Ray
a
Romano
human on
about
this
the Willie Mammoth that he plays.
I think they phased him out. They phased him out. He's no longer the voice of the woolly mammoth in Ice Age.
They phased him out?
I think they phased out. Now it's just like a person that sounds like John Leguizamo.
Really?
Which is a little dangerous. A person that sounds like Queen Latifah, which is also dangerous. Ray
Dangerous
Romano's
game.
a safe space.
Wow.
It's not that hard to, I guess, try to do a Ray Romano thing, but I think we'd all get really upset at finding out what Vin Diesel's paid for the Groot stuff. He probably has a merchandising cut.
Speaking of money, we will get to Stugotz's weekend observations in a second, but Charles Barkley just told Dan Patrick that he makes about $20 million a year. That's combined, broadcasting and endorsements, and that he would go to Live Golf if they tripled his salary. That he would, and he'd lose the endorsements, and it would have to be $60 million a year in order to get him out of. Because he'd lose TNT too, probably.
I could see Liv doing that. Why wouldn't they? I
He'd always said that he was going to leave TNT at the end of this contract.
He's 60 in a year. He's 60 in a year, and he said that for a long time, but he seemed to me to mean it every time he said it recently. And he doesn't love ownership over there. They've changed ownership and things. So, like, he's ready to retire from TNT, but he thinks he can do a lot of good with that money. I think it's a terrible idea for him, but he thinks he can do a lot with the money if they do triple his salary.
8 tournaments a year, $60 million at the age of 60, not nearly the grind of the NBA and TNT. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Because of the blood money aspect.
Right.
Of it. And
Barkley's on record as saying he doesn't care.
Well,
about
but being
that.
on
Right.
record as saying doesn't mean that he's prepared for what the actual backlash would be, which all those sponsor relationships and setting fire to the bridge between him and TNT as well.
When he says he could do a lot with that money, does he mean a lot of good with that money, or does he mean Argos plus 6.5?
A lot of whatever the hell he wants with that money. I mean, Mike, if someone's offering you $60 million at the age of 60, it's hard to do.
That's a lot of money on the Argonauts.
Time now for Stugotz's weekend observations.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Who's wearing the shirts inside out? I mean, who's doing it?
I think it's me.
Really? It's embarrassing.
Why we need a payoff, Jess? You need to betray this person.
I don't know who it was.
I don't believe it.
It
You
was
don't
Stu
know.
Gotz or Chris Cody. I've narrowed it down to 2 suspects.
But Billy knows. Oh, you don't know?
No, I just learned that this happened today.
This was also an off-air conversation that did not need to be on air.
Also
So if
gonna
you're
look
looking for a payoff, I don't know what to tell you.
Quick update. Boselli got back to me. We will have him on Stupidity this week. He says after Thursday he's done, Billy, and he seems to be saying yes to everything I'm asking for.
We already have a guest this week.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Bump him. Got a Hall of Famer coming up.
This guest, I think, is a Hall of Famer, too.
Oh, wow. What do I do?
Lie to everybody, Stugotz.
That's a good idea.
Anyway. Hold on a second. We could have 2 Hall of Famers on the same
A
episode.
couple of Hall of Famers cutting it up. How about that?
Yeah, but the problem is that I know how you operate, and Boselli's going to be an hour and 60 minutes.
Right.
So 2 hours, I guess.
Boselli or no Selly. I mean, we got to play that. Boselli, no Selly. I mean.
Boselli, Bo-Bye. It doesn't work.
What? Weekend observations?
We're going to skip over Billy saying an hour and 60 minutes.
Brought to you by Miller Lights. Great taste, 96 calories, available for delivery. What's so funny about an hour and 60 minutes? I don't get it. Dan! Weird show. After a barren wasteland of football for 5 months, Kyler Murray taking the Cardinals out of his Instagram profile, then putting them back in. Get up asking, who is going to win the AFC North in May? Lamar Jackson contract negotiations. You could start to feel it. You can smell it. The smell of the freshly cut grass. The sound of pads colliding. Peter King going around the country on a bus. And we're not far away from the return of the Hard Knocks music. And Dan, just like that, NFL training camp is back. You're excited. I can tell, huh? Big year coming up.
Not about training camp, no.
Really? We're talking a lot about the Dolphins lately. It seems like you're into it. Big year for the Fins.
Start of the season.
Yeah. Does anyone love to streamline things more than the fancy young lad known as Chris Whittingham? And he loves to streamline stuff. You get a weekly email from Whitty where he's streamlining stuff. What does it mean?
I have a Bob update. I just made him do a spin for me. Apparently, everything, the button-down shirt, the jeans, the shoes, the necklace that he's made out of severed human ears, all of it was right side out.
Huh.
You check the socks?
Can you imagine if he was a penny loafers guy?
Frontier Airlines is the Blaine Gabbert of airlines. Not terrible. The president of Barcelona said the Messi chapter isn't over. It was a 21-year-long chapter. It's long enough. It's over. Thanks. Barca. Jim Cott. Compiler. Also, an athlete that connotes furniture. How nice of the Phillies and Major League Baseball to allow Pete Rose to step on a baseball field for the first time in 17 years this August as part of the 1980 World Series team. The Hit King, Charlie Hustle, top 5 Phillies from the 80s. You will love this list, Dan. Number 5, and just you, Tug McGraw.
Yeah, it will just be me. There will be nobody else interested in this list.
Number 4, John Vukovic. Fantastic. You ever remember Vuk?
I think of him as am I wrong in thinking of Pete Vukovic as the
As
brewer?
a brewer, that's Pete. John's his older brother. And he's a Vukovic.
I don't remember. It's a wonderful name. I don't remember anything about Phillies era John Vukovic.
Number 3, Greg Luzinski, the Bull.
I sent Stugotz a video the other day of Greg Luzinski playing left field in AstroTurf. There was a line drive hit, and he ran right past it with his glove. He might as well have been holding a frying pan. Like, just ran right past it. Just a designated hitter in left field who should not have been out there.
Number 2, Larry Boa.
Woody, it's like if I, at my age right now, tried to catch a line drive. Like, no practice, no nothing. You threw me in left field and somebody hit like a stinging screamer with hook at me. It would be like me running toward it.
This was the bull, though, at his peak.
I've got to send this out. It's amazing.
In his prime. But hold on for number one, because it's Bake McBride. You love Bake McBride.
I mean, I just remember the quote, 2/3 of the earth is covered by water and the other third is covered by Bake McBride.
Here come the Jays. Tim Couch.
Henry Ruggs.
Excellent. Sean McVay said his contract talks are in a good place. July. Hey, Ferrari, how about try Plan F for finish a race?
Jose Mesa.
Wow. You blew my mind.
Amazing.
Amazing. I mean, I had some more somewhere around here, but that might end the game. Jose Mesa. I don't get it. Jerry West said of J.J. Redick, quote, what did he do that determined games? He averaged 12 points per game. 2 thoughts. 1, he's right. 2, Jerry West is done fucking around.
He's so done.
The logo.
Do it on TikTok.
He is arrived at a point. There's a point in everyone's life where you just don't give a shit what anyone says. That's where Jerry West is. And you just let it fly.
Is he there, though?
Oh,
if he's threatening to take...
he cares about what they say, but he's giving it back. He is.
He's threatening to take him to the Supreme Court. He's caring about what somebody says.
We'll just add him McKay. There is a speculation that the Sixers gave James Harden a wink-wink guarantee for a big payday next summer. I only include this to tell you that I love a good wink-wink. It's fantastic. Little wink-wink, Dan. You know I love those.
I think everyone loves those.
Well, no one more than me. The M in Madison Bumgardner stands for McCann. Mad Bum. Madison, when talking about Victor Robles after he hit and celebrated a meaningless home run, said, quote, he's a clown. Golly. Classic Mad Bum. I mean, who says golly? When's the last time you've heard someone say golly in a sentence?
My wife made fun of me for saying it this weekend.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I did.
And you're wearing your shirts inside out.
That's right.
Woody at the last show meeting. He was pissed.
Enraged Witty. No one's ever seen him so hostile.
Elon Musk having an affair with the wife of his lifelong friend is all you need to know about Elon Musk.
I mean, what is wrong with those? What's wrong with that entire family? Isn't Musk's dad also like sleeping with relatives or something?
Ex-relative.
Yeah, that's a fine. One might say he stuck his rocket
allegedly
in another man's space. John Rocker.
Candlestick.
What?
Candlestick.
Why do I imagine Elon Musk unplugging his penis from an electric charger?
That white body of his just like taking a cord out. Cord he can't keep in his pants. What's wrong with him?
I don't know.
He keeps couching everything in the rationalization that we need to repopulate the earth. Oh yeah. His father even used that one.
With just musks?
Yes. Juan Soto's paychecks having Stevie A. Cohen's signature on them. Collision course. The Metropolitan stand.
That's right.
Stevie A. Cohen. You want your owner to be named Stevie A. Cohen, don't you? Like a little Stevie? You like that?
Not really.
Why?
He doesn't go by Stevie, does he?
Oh, yeah.
He does?
Stevie A. Cohen.
Just
yes. When he was a hedge fund manager.
Just when Stugotz walks into the room.
Stevie A. Cohen. I'm telling you. Devontae Adams comparing Derek Carr to Aaron Rodgers? No.
Paul Coffee Table book?
This is when you guys start doing the stretching stuff on this, where you turn it into puns and stuff.
Ottoman Porter.
Oh, wow.
There's more room to play there.
That is good. Dan, you know what the D in Devontae stands for?
I do not.
Don't do that. Joe Burrow is training with the ball from Super Bowl 51. Love that, man. Love it. What do you think he means by it?
Patrick Curtans.
Wow. Also, Goosebumps.
Patrick Curtans Jr.
Also, July. Patrick Curtan. So good. I'm looking for something that
Ian Bookshelf.
Also, Joe Burrow played in Super Bowl 56, not in 51. I think you read the Roman numerals wrong.
I probably did.
Is that $5?
No, it's not.
I think
For
you read the internet wrong.
You keep looking for your video over there.
Hold on a second, Dan. He did read the internet wrong. He said that Zach Ertz only had 180 some odd catches, or 100 and some odd 80. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to read at the same time. My bad,
It's
guys.
your
$5 for
birthday.
you.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
my bad. He had 56 catches for 574 yards and 3 touchdowns with Arizona, plus a game of 15 catches for 152 yards and 2
I'm
touchdowns.
not so certain about
Superstar.
that. I'll look it up. Your birthday, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
$10 to guys
For what? I mean,
for both reading the internet wrong on both those things.
we'll see.
What do you mean we'll see?
We'll see if I pay the $10. If I have it. I owe you. You trust me.
I do not.
It's not nice. Todd Bowles.
Ooh.
Toilet bowl.
Are they decorative?
Is that furniture?
Nah.
If they're decorative.
Yeah.
The game is items you find in a living room. So I had to clarify.
Also in this week's edition of July, Jim Irsay paid $6 million for Muhammad Ali's belt. Top 5 belts. Number 5, and I think Mike would agree, a good solid golf belt.
Just a random golf
Oh,
ball?
they're fantastic. Number 4, and I think Whittingham would agree, a double-sided belt. Great flexibility, Dan.
Yeah, especially if you wear your clothes inside out.
Number 3, a Stuart Huge belt by Gucci. Number 2, Batman's utility belt. You know number 1.
I don't know number
You
one.
know number 1.
I know
We've been
number
talking
one.
about number 1 for 20 years at first base.
I know number 1.
Give us number 1, Mike.
Brandon Belt.
Oh, that's number 1. How'd you not know?
I thought it would be championship belt of some sort.
Keep an eye on the Stros. At this point, is it fair to wonder what's going to last longer, planet Earth or Tom Brady's career? For a moment, everything felt right again. Thanks to Tim Kurchin and the Hall of Fame for providing that moment. It was nice to see. You tear up?
It was nice.
Yeah.
I did not tear up.
It means so much to that man. I mean, it means a lot to every man, but like Tim Kurchin,
He cares deeply about the sport.
he can't believe he's there. I was texting with him. He simply cannot believe that he is in the Hall of Fame. It's adorable. I enjoyed walking around New Jersey, hearing people say it's hot as hell, and saying to them, today is every day in South Florida. At least there's a breeze. Speaking of hell, Art Briles, Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Lloyd Cushenberry.